Hi, guys. Welcome to this meeting. I'm going to give a short presentation about kind of a guide to making posters. And then afterwards, we will have plenty of time to go through and workshop anything, or if you have any questions for me regarding what your poster might want to look like or any visual questions, we have plenty of time for that as well. So thank you for coming to this meeting. I'm excited to go through it with y'all. So, first, we're going to start off with a little bit of a mission statement. So, first, the Office of Undergraduate Research, or OUR, our mission. The mission of the University of Utah Office of Undergraduate Research is to facilitate and promote undergraduate student faculty collaborative research and creative works in all disciplines throughout the University of Utah campus. I'd also like to start with the land acknowledgement. The mission of the University of Utah Office of Undergraduate Research, OUR, is the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. The University of Utah recognizes and respects the enduring relationship that exists between many indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. We respect the sovereign relationship between the tribes, states, and federal government, and we affirm that the University of Utah's commitment to the partnership with Native nations and urban Indian communities through research, education, community, and research outreach activities. So a little bit about me, who is this crazy lady talking to you about posters? So my name is America Cox. I am an undergraduate research leader through the Office of Undergraduate Research. I'm currently in my 5th year at the University of Utah, and my majors are biology with an emphasis in ecology, evolution, and environment, and philosophy of science. So first, I want to talk about different presentation opportunities. Where can you present these posters that we're going to make? The one that's coming up is Roach, Research on Capitol Hill. Their day after is UCUR, the Utah Conference for Undergraduate Research. And then every semester, our office hosts a undergraduate research symposia. And we will have ours in April this year for the spring. But of course, posters are welcome in the summer and in the fall. So first, how do you go about creating a research poster? You can use Adobe Express or PowerPoint as one big slide. And before you start putting anything on the slide, very first, make sure that you scale it appropriately. So any conference that you go to should tell you, should tell you the guidelines and standard, in this case for the UCUR Symposia, Roach, and our undergraduate research symposium is 36 by 48 inches, so 36 tall, 48 wide, so it's horizontal. You want to make sure that you're using high quality images, so that's 150 to 300 DPI, and then also make sure that it's being saved at the highest quality before you send it to print, because sometimes you can put a high quality image, but then if you don't save the slide that you made in Adobe or PowerPoint as the high quality to send to the printer, the whole thing can end up being a little bit blurry. So make sure that you double check that. There's 5 main components to your research poster, and you want to make sure that you have all of these on your poster. So you have the introduction, methods, results, discussion, and acknowledgements. So first, we're starting off with the introduction. So you want to introduce exactly who does this impact? Explain the problem or the question and why it matters of your research. This is your point where you're trying to pull people in, especially during poster sessions. It's a lot of people walking by, so you want to very quickly identify what this is about and why they should care about it. An entire abstract is not necessary. I personally feel like that is a waste of space on a poster. However, if your mentor wants you to, that could be something that is field specific, but I do not recommend putting an abstract on a poster for these conferences that I am preparing you for. Then also you can highlight any personal motivations at this point as you're introducing the problem and pulling them into the poster. Then you want to take them through your methods and explain why and what methods were used exactly. And it's always important to use images, or even a flow chart is something that I found works really well for the methods section. What is important is less words, really, because these people are not standing there to read an entire paper. So the more images, the better. And in this process, you can also share some logistical challenges that were faced, because that's a whole part of research. It does not always go as planned. If research did, it would be a whole lot easier. Then after you go through your methods, you go through your results. So what did you find out? How did this compare to what is already known? And then this is where you can have your plots and your figures. Again, pictures and images, way more important than words. So really emphasize the high quality images in all of the sections, but especially during your results, because this is where you can get some good figures or graphs or images of the work that can really pull people in and show, the results of the hard work that you did in your research. Then part 4, you have a discussion/conclusion. So some fields of research will have both a discussion and a conclusion, whereas others may only have just a conclusion. Discuss this with your mentor. So your mentor is there to support you and guide you through making this poster and presenting your research, and be appropriate for whatever field your research is in. So consider a section where there are discussion and a conclusion, or conclusion only, that kind of follows these lines of questioning. So where does your research go from here? So what future research is needed for this? Is there any unexpected results? Were there limitations to the study? So the big thing is you have your results, and now what? What does this say? Where do we go from here? That's kind of a big moment. And again, because you're just answering questions and you don't necessarily have like a graph of what you did, because this is about the future, it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to not just write this out. But again, I cannot emphasize enough, I'm just going to beat a dead horse, that you have to try and do images as much as possible. Last but not least, you have your acknowledgement section. So this is where you can list your works cited, and this is also where you acknowledge collaboration, support, and sources of funding. And I do want to say that you can see on my slides at the bottom, we have the Office of Undergraduate Research logo. If you are going to UCUR, you should have our logo on there, as we funded your registration fee. If you are a UROP scholar or received funding from our office, you should have our logo. But as well as if you have any other grant funding, collaborations with other labs, you can thank your PI or whoever you worked with in this section, in addition to your works cited. I know personally, sometimes I do it in 2 little separate sections, and that is acceptable as well. You can also use a QR code for additional information. I've seen a lot of posters where they have a QR code to their lab's website, so they can have contact information there. I've seen people do QR codes to their LinkedIn, so you can connect that way. QR codes are definitely optional. They're not needed, but it is nice because they can be nice and small on a big poster, and provide a way for people to contact you and check it out further. So that's the general gist of the 5 main parts. So now we're going to go through some examples, okay, so that you can really see what it's supposed to look like. So here we have a poster. And if you're walking by and you're seeing a lot of posters, you might not necessarily stop at this one, because there's a lot of things that I would personally fix. So posters rarely need abstracts. So like I mentioned, in the case where your mentor really wants you to put an abstract, listen to your mentor. They are first and foremost the most important resource that you have. But generally, you do not need a whole abstract, and that's just a lot of space being wasted on that. Text, it's, just a whole thing. No one's going to stand there. And I mean, you can even think about it. If you're going around, are you going to read every single word? Generally not. It's meant for a glance. It's an aid for you to present your research. It shouldn't stand on its own like a research paper or an article. Okay. Then you don't want it too crammed. You also want to make sure that everything is accessible. And if it's really small and hard to read, they probably weren't going to read that much text anyway, but now they're really not going to read it, right? You want to make sure that everything is aligned, that images are high quality, and it's just not super crammed. Another thing to note here, in the case that it's black and white figures for you, it doesn't matter as much, but again, in the realm of accessibility, you should probably look into using a colorblind friendly color palette, because if you have everything in red and green, there are some people that will not see the difference in there. So when you are making your poster, you want to make sure that everyone has access to your beautiful work. So think about that when choosing any font, any color, and designing it so that it can be seen and understood. Okay, this is a good example. So this is the Spring 2025 awarded Best Overall Poster from a Student. So as you can see, there's some nice colors. There's a good map. It does have text. You can't avoid having text, but the graphics are the main point of it. It has a good color scheme, and it's really easy to read and easy to follow. It's organized. You don't have bits and pieces of the discussion everywhere, just the discussion section in that one part, right? And same for the introduction, all those 5 parts that we discussed. Here is another good example. So this was the Spring 2025 Best Use of Poster Visuals. This was the award given to the student at our symposium in the spring this last year. And so this one is really good because the visuals support the text. And again, it's easy to read and view the visuals. It's really focused on what am I looking at, and then the text is used to aid what I'm looking at. Here's an example that I really love. This one is from Spring 2024, the Best Narrative Poster. I think that this is a good example because it's not necessarily maybe just graphs, which is what you see a lot of the time. Nothing wrong with graphs. I use a lot of graphs, but this one really goes through and tells the story with the picture and has that text to explain the picture, but you can clearly see that the main focus, you have good color and the good really narrative, a good story throughout the poster, which is what you're trying to do, is tell the story of your research. Okay. So now you have the poster. Great. Now you need to present the poster. So giving poster presentations, you want to make sure that you're speaking very clearly. I know, at least for me, I'm from Utah and people tend to mumble a lot or have that Utah accent. So sometimes it's a little bit hard. I definitely recommend practicing. I know also for me, sometimes some words are just hard to say. I have some Latin words in my research that just take some time to do that. So definitely speak clearly, practice that. Also with volume, it's going to be a little bit noisy because not only are you speaking, but you have posters next to you speaking and they have posters next to them speaking. So it can be kind of loud. I'm not saying you need to yell the whole time, but speak clearly and project so that they can hear you. The next thing that I recommend is that you have an elevator pitch prepared. So that's a good, couple of minutes. Like I said, people are walking by and checking out the posters. You want to be able to say, hey, have you heard about my research before? Or have you heard about this? Did you know? And have something quick to get their attention and get through. There is always time where you talk about your poster, and then there's time for questions after. You don't need to fit every single little detail in your run through, but you do want to have a good narrative of what your research is and why it's important. The next thing is also to establish your audience and adjust the jargon accordingly. So like I mentioned before, I have maybe some Latin names that are hard. To someone that's not a biologist, they're going to be like, why do I care about this long name? So I probably wouldn't use that. So definitely see who you're talking to and make sure that you're not using very field specific words that will mean nothing to them and really devalue that experience. Again, it's all about making sure that your story is accessible to everyone. Okay. Next, a little bit of a survival guide from experience. So one, you want to make sure that you're wearing professional clothing for your discipline, depending on the conference. Some people dress up really fancy, others don't. Again, ask your mentor. They are the ones that know everything that you need, first and foremost resource. Okay, and the next thing is also make sure that clothes is comfortable, because during these poster sessions, you will be standing. And because of that, you need comfortable shoes because you're standing for a long time. So just really make sure that you are set and ready to be there and be alive, alert, and enthusiastic. And it's hard to do that if your feet hurt. Okay. Then also bring a water bottle because you are talking a lot. You will get a dry mouth really quick. Personally, I even like to put a mint in my pocket just because I'm talking a lot, and that really helps. The other thing is you want to check out other people's posters, check out their oral presentations or whatever other opportunities there are to support your fellow students, but also to learn from them because their research is also super cool. So I would bring a notebook because you might get some inspiration to jot down any cool ideas. And like I said, this is an opportunity to meet and support other people, other faculty members. So this is also a great networking opportunity that you should really take advantage of because you don't always have the time where you're in a room with so many other talented researchers and great minds. So make sure that you attend those other presentations and make the best of it. Okay. Some additional resources for you. So here's some QR codes that take you to it directly. We have our OUR education series that's available on demand. So it's essentially like this, where you guys are coming in live, but it's on demand. So if people are watching this recording in the future, you're already doing it. So some reference videos that I would recommend is data visualization and research, presenting with Adobe Express, and introduction to public speaking, because all of those are applicable and can help guide this experience for you. Next is there are specific templates and printing information that we have on our website and through the library. So you can also view more winning posters than were in this presentation. So you can have a variety of resources to look at when making your poster specifically. And again, just follow that QR code and you'll take you, in English, it will take you right there. Even more resources because we want to make sure that you are super prepared as you can book a research advising meeting. So this could be with me, it could be with another undergraduate research leader, or it could be with any staff in our office. And we are all well prepared because we've seen a lot of posters, we've done posters. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, always feel free to schedule a research advising appointment that's available during the open office hours that we have. So thank you for listening to me ramble for a bit. That is kind of our guide to poster presentations. We have the rest of the time dedicated to workshopping and answering questions for you. So if you have questions, please ask away.
Hi, I had a question.
Yes.
I was curious, how long would you recommend those elevator pitches being? Like, of course, if someone's really interested and you can keep talking to them for longer, but you don't want to necessarily like rope someone in and then talk their ear off for too long. So I don't know. How long would you recommend usually?
That's good. I would say sometimes it depends on the person because again, when I establish my audience, I generally go with like, "Oh, have you heard of this before?" and kind of maybe gauge their engagement level a little bit of what they want, but generally 2 to 5 minutes. And five is kind of, I think, pushing it a little bit. You definitely don't want to go longer than 5 minutes. But the shorter the better because you can always, once they're hooked, you can always go back and give more information. That's a really good question.
Perfect. Thank you so much.